"We've replaced you," my family said on Christmas Eve. So I delivered the real surprise. Before I tell you my whole story, let me know in the comments what part of the world you're listening to me from. My name is Sarah Thompson. I'm 35, a registered nurse in Chicago, and for 15 years I've been my family's safety net. It started when Dad died, and I was 20. Mom couldn't manage alone with my teenage siblings, Jake and Emma, so I stepped up. I worked double shifts through nursing school, sent money home, and somehow made everything work. I remember the exact moment I made that choice. Mom was sitting at our kitchen table, staring at Christmas cards, her hands shaking as she realized we couldn't afford to send any back, let alone buy presents. I was making $12 an hour as a nursing assistant, but I had a plan. "Don't worry, Mom," I said. "I'll handle Christmas this year. I'll handle everything." Those words would echo in my mind for the next 15 years. I had no idea I was signing an invisible contract that would consume my 20s and most of my 30s. I thought I was being temporarily helpful. I didn't realize I was becoming permanently indispensable. And I did handle everything. Every single year after that. When Jake needed cleats for football, I worked extra shifts. When Emma wanted to go to prom, I bought her dress. When Mom's washing machine broke, I replaced it. Every crisis, every celebration, every unexpected expense, they all became my responsibility by default. Every Christmas became my masterpiece. I'd start shopping in July, hiding presents in my bedroom closet. I'd spend my November paycheck on groceries for Christmas dinner, coordinate everyone's schedules, decorate Mom's house until it looked like a magazine spread. I paid for it all. The gifts, the food, the magic. But I never minded because seeing them happy made the sacrifice worth it. This year felt different from the moment Jake introduced his girlfriend, Melissa, in October. She was 28, blonde, perfectly manicured, and according to Jake, loaded. Her father owned luxury car dealerships, and she lived in a downtown penthouse that cost more per month than Mom's annual income. Jake couldn't stop talking about her money, her connections. The way his eyes lit up wasn't love. It was dollar signs. I should have known something was shifting when Melissa started showing up to family dinners, suggesting improvements to Mom's house and calling our traditions quaint. In November, when she offered to help with Christmas planning, I felt a chill. The way she smiled when she said help didn't reach her eyes, and I caught her photographing our family photos with a look I couldn't quite interpret. Melissa has wonderful ideas for Christmas. Really sophisticated stuff, Mom said when I called about the menu. Maybe you should talk to her about what we need this year. Something twisted in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I'd been pushing things down for 15 years. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I should be grateful someone else wanted to help. But deep down, I knew this wasn't about helping. It was about replacing. 2 weeks before Christmas, I went to Mom's house with our family decorations, only to find the living room already transformed. Gone were the handmade ornaments we'd collected, the stockings I'd needle-pointed, the ceramic village Dad had started. Instead, everything was silver and white and expensive-looking, like a hotel lobby. Melissa was directing Jake and Emma, and they were all laughing about something I wasn't part of. "Where's our stuff?" I asked. Melissa smiled. "We thought it was time for an upgrade. This year's theme is winter elegance. Your mom said you'd understand." I looked at Mom arranging silver candles where Dad's photo usually sat. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Where's Dad's picture?" "We're trying something different this year," Emma said. "Melissa says grief shouldn't define how we celebrate." I stood there in my scrubs after a 12-hour shift, holding boxes of memories that apparently no longer mattered. They'd replaced everything I'd built with something shinier. They'd replaced me without realizing it, but I smiled and said it looked beautiful, because that's what I always did. What my family didn't know was that I'd been supporting them financially in ways they couldn't imagine. The mortgage on Mom's house, I'd been paying it for 3 years. $63,412 total. She thought her Social Security covered it, but I'd set up automatic transfers, so the money would appear in her account each month before the mortgage drafted. Jake's car payments, I'd been covering those for 2 years, plus his insurance. Emma's student loans, I'd been sending her $300 monthly to help with payments. When Mom needed a new furnace last winter, I paid the entire $4,000 bill, but told her it was a payment plan, so she wouldn't feel guilty. I'd become a ghost financier, invisibly keeping everyone afloat while they lived their lives thinking they were managing just fine on their own. Every month, I'd calculate their needs before my own, sending money to cover their shortfalls while I lived on ramen and worked overtime to make up the difference. I'd also been building something for myself. Working double shifts had given me substantial savings, a healthy 401k, and I'd recently bought my own condo. But I kept this private, learned that being the struggling but generous daughter kept me valuable. I decided to test the waters. A week before Christmas, I mentioned I might contribute less to Christmas dinner because I was saving for my own place. "Don't worry," Mom said. "Melissa's catering everything. Very expensive, but she says it's worth it." "Mom, I've been cooking Christmas dinner for 15 years. "I know, sweetie, but Melissa thinks it's time we treated ourselves to something more elegant." Elegant? As if 15 years of my love wasn't elegant enough. 3 days before Christmas, Emma called. "Could you maybe not bring so much stuff this year? Melissa's worried about it looking cluttered." Cluttered. My presents would make Christmas look cluttered. "What do you mean by stuff?" "Just tone it down. The gifts, the extra food. Melissa's got everything handled." "Emma? Who's been handling everything for 15 years? Silence. "Then, maybe it's time to let someone else take the lead. Someone who can really do it right. Do it right. As if everything I'd done was wrong." That night, I made calls that would change everything. I canceled the automatic mortgage payments, removed myself from Jake's car loan, stopped all the transfers. Then I did something I'd never done. I made plans for myself. I accepted Rachel's invitation to her family's Christmas Eve dinner, booked a spa day, made restaurant reservations. The call came December 23rd. Mom's voice was tight with stress. "Sarah, honey, Melissa's planning this beautiful Christmas Eve dinner with important people. Her father might be there. The dining room only seats 12, and with all her guests." She trailed off, waiting for me to make it easy. "Are you uninviting me to Christmas Eve dinner? It's not that we don't want you there. This is important for Jake's future. Maybe you could come by later, after dinner." The words hit me like a physical blow. 15 years of Christmas Eves, 15 years of making their holidays magical, and I was being relegated to an afterthought. I looked around my apartment at the wrapped presents I'd spent weeks choosing. Thoughtful, personal gifts that showed how well I knew each of them. The homemade cookies I'd baked using recipes I'd perfected over the years. The red dress hanging in my closet that I'd bought specifically for Christmas Eve dinner with the people I'd been supporting and loving for 15 years. "I see," I said quietly, my voice steadier than I felt inside. "You understand, don't you? This could really change things for Jake." "Mom, in 15 years, have I ever missed Christmas? Ever not contributed? Ever made you feel unwelcome? But I'm the one being asked not to come. It's just 1 year, Sarah." "Okay, Mom, I understand." After I hung up, I felt something shift inside me. Pure clarity about who I was to these people. The safety net. Valuable only for what I could provide. I sent a text. "You're right about giving Jake space for this opportunity. I won't be coming Christmas Eve at all. I've made other plans. But I have a Christmas gift for the family. I'll drop it off tomorrow at 2 p.m. Christmas Eve. I arrived in my navy suit, looking professional and unshakable. Melissa was directing caterers, wearing a dress that probably cost more than I made in a week. Jake answered, looking surprised. "You look nice." In the living room, Mom and Emma seemed awkward, unsure what to do with me outside my usual role. "You look beautiful. Very professional," Mom said. "I wanted to look nice for my Christmas Eve plans." "What are you doing tonight?" Emma asked with forced cheer. "Movie marathon." "Actually, I'm having dinner with friends." The silence was telling. They'd never considered I might have friends who valued my company. "I have a gift for everyone," I said, pulling out an envelope. "It's not traditional, but I think you'll appreciate it." Mom opened it and went white. "This is the mortgage payment history. For 3 years, I've been paying your mortgage, Mom. $63,412 total, plus the property taxes I covered last year when you said the bill was higher than expected, plus the home insurance I've been paying because you thought it was included in your mortgage payment." The silence in the room was so complete, I could hear the caterers clanking dishes in the kitchen. Even Melissa stopped smiling, her perfectly composed facade cracking slightly. Emma grabbed the papers from Mum's hands. "This can't be right. Sarah, this says you've paid over $60,000, plus Jake's car payments for 2 years, his insurance, his registration fees, plus Emma's student loan assistance, $300 a month for 18 months, plus every family emergency that's come up. The papers are all there. Banking records, payment confirmations, everything." Jake stared. We had no idea. I wanted to help without strings attached, but this is the second part of my gift. I pulled out more papers. "As of January 1st, all those payments stop." "Sarah, you can't just cut us off," Jake protested. "I'm stepping back. If you can't manage, you'll figure it out the same way I did when Dad died and nobody was helping me. That's different. You were always stronger." "No, Jake. I just never had the choice to be anything else. When Dad died, everyone expected me to step up because I was the oldest daughter. Nobody asked if I wanted that responsibility or if I could handle it emotionally. I was 20 years old, grieving my father, trying to finish school, and suddenly, I was responsible for everyone else's well-being. I never got to be young and careless like you did. I never got to make mistakes that someone else would fix for me." The weight of those words hung in the air. I'd never said them out loud before. Never allowed myself to acknowledge the resentment I'd been carrying. Melissa cleared her throat. "Jake, have you been planning to use my money to replace Sarah's contributions?" Jake's face went red. "It's not like that. You thought you'd marry me for my money. Once we're married, I thought we could help, share my wealth." She picked up her purse. "We need to talk. Privately." They left, voices rising outside. "If you stop helping, we might lose the house," Emma cried. "Then you'll find something you can afford. I was 18 when I moved out and started paying my own way. That's so harsh. Is it? Or is it normal?" Jake returned alone, devastated. "Melissa's gone. She canceled everything. She said she doesn't want to be involved with a family that has financial dysfunction." They sat facing reality for the first time in years. "Can things go back to the way they were?" Emma asked desperately. "No. The way they were was killing me. And none of you noticed. When's the last time any of you asked how I was doing? About my life, my goals, my happiness?" Silence. "I've been alone in this family for 15 years. Loved, but alone. Needed for what I could provide, but not valued for who I am." "So what happens now?" Jake asked. "Now you learn to take care of yourselves. And I learned to take care of myself." I stood to leave. "I'm having dinner with people who actually invited me to Christmas Eve. Can we talk after the holidays?" Mom asked. I'm not disappearing. I'm just rebalancing things. I'm going to start being a daughter instead of a parent. But what if we need you? Then you'll ask politely, and I'll decide if I'm available, just like any other adult relationship. I walked out feeling lighter than I had in years. Rachel's family welcomed me with genuine warmth. For 3 hours, I was just Sarah, not the provider or problem solver, but a person worth knowing. They asked about my work, my hobbies, my dreams, and actually listened. When I got home, I found dozens of messages from my family, but instead of panic and guilt-tripping, they were thoughtful, reflective. They were finally seeing me as a person. Over the following months, I watched my family transform in ways I never could have imagined. Mom got a roommate, a lovely retired teacher named Patricia, who helped with expenses and became a genuine friend. Jake moved into a small apartment across town and got a second job delivering food on weekends to make ends meet. Emma took a part-time job at the campus bookstore and learned to budget her money carefully for the first time in her life. There were stumbles, of course. Mom called crying when she couldn't afford her cable package. Jake's car broke down, and his first instinct was to call me for repair money. Emma panicked when she had to take out a small additional student loan. But each time, instead of rushing to fix their problems, I listened, offered emotional support, and reminded them they were capable of finding solutions. And slowly, amazingly, they did. They discovered resources they didn't know they had, resilience they didn't know they possessed. More importantly, they started treating me like family instead of a bank account. Jake called just to chat. Emma invited me to lunch and actually listened. Mom asked about my volunteer work. 6 months later, I got the promotion I'd wanted for years. Their excitement was genuine and uncomplicated. Sarah, that's incredible. Emma squealed over the phone. You've wanted this for so long. Tell me everything about it. We should celebrate, Mom said when I called her. Let me take you to dinner. Somewhere nice. My treat. I want to hear all about your new responsibilities. Jake asked thoughtful questions about what the position would involve and told me how proud he was of my hard work. For the first time in our relationship, he seemed genuinely interested in my career as something separate from how it might benefit the family. A year later, I was in my beautiful new apartment with a lake view, having just returned from vacation in Costa Rica. My family was coming for dinner, a dinner I'd volunteered to host because I wanted to. Jake brought his new girlfriend, someone who appreciated his independence. Emma was graduating with honors. Mom and her roommate had become best friends. When the doorbell rang, I heard, "Sarah, we brought wine and flowers to thank you for cooking. And I made dessert. It might be terrible, but I wanted to contribute." I opened the door to genuine smiles, small gifts of appreciation, and eagerness to spend time together, based on love, not need. "Come in," I said, hugging each of them. I'm so glad you're here. For the first time in my adult life, I meant it completely. That Christmas Eve, when my family said they'd replaced me, they thought they were giving me bad news, but they gave me the greatest gift: permission to stop being indispensable to them and start being important to myself. If you've been living as everyone else's solution, everyone else's backup plan, I want you to know, you are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You are not obligated to sacrifice your happiness for others' comfort. You are not responsible for managing other adults' lives. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to prioritize your own needs. You are allowed to let other people experience the natural consequences of their choices. Most importantly, you are allowed to discover who you are when you're not busy being everything to everyone else. Your life belongs to you. Start living it. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Like this video if it moved you. Subscribe for more stories about finding your strength, and tell me in the comments, what boundaries do you need to set in your own life? Remember, you are not alone in this struggle, and your happiness matters just as much as everyone else's. Let's build a community of people who choose themselves without apology.